All right. I don't think I'm going to do this again. This is going to be the last time I do this. Until I can figure out how to present it the way it deserves to be presented. Me doing it this way doesn't give it the story any justice. All right, so this is going to be the part 2, which should be the last part. Okay. All right. So continuing on where I left off in the last video, this will be part 2. Okay. So I've been doing these out of town shows for let's say approximately 8-9 months or something, whatever, right? Okay. And I'll tell you what happened. That's a big part of. It's a crucial element, a crucial detail. Okay. So in June of 2022, I was doing a show in Texas. I was doing 2 weeks in Dallas and then 2 weeks in Houston and then back home. Okay. Oh. Anyways, so I was doing a Dallas and Houston show. Okay. And so did Dallas first, then Houston. And then I was back home on June 21st. And I'm just like, whatever, right? Back in this little ghost town out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. And within the first 24 hours of being back, I had heard from at least 2 people that they found a dead body out in the desert and there's a serial killer in the town. Okay. Now, not too much longer before that, I remember they had posted on the gas station, on the front door of one of the gas stations, that there was a person wanted for murder and that they had the picture of the person and everything. And they suspected he was in this little town. And they had the fucking flyer, a big photocopy color flyer on the door. And so I'm like, whoa, this is weird, you know? So I just get back from Houston and people are telling me they found a dead body in the desert and there's a serial killer. And then that reminded me that I had just recently, within the last 2 or 3 months, they had that picture of somebody that was wanted for murder. And it was on the door of the fucking gas station in this little tiny town. And so I'm like, what the fuck? I'm tripping out, you know? I mean, when you live in a little tiny ghost town of like 1,000 people population, and there's talk of a murderer, a serial killer, and finding it's a lot, it hits home a lot closer than if you're like living in a city or something, dude. So I'm like, what the fuck, right? And so I get home, you know, and living with my girlfriend, and we're having these kind of weird issues. Nothing serious, but just like, it's just like bullshit stuff where it's like, yeah, man, I mean, whatever. I love you, babe, but God, dude, come on, kind of shit. And she had started hanging out with some people around this time, you know, probably like 7 or 8 months earlier, she had started hanging out with these people, and I didn't know them. They lived like a block up the street from us. And then by hanging out with them, she had met their friends, and then they started meeting on Wednesday nights at the Burger King where they would play Pokemon or something, okay? Now, I'm not into fucking Pokemon. I'm not into video games. I'm not into any of that kind of shit, anime. And I have friends You know, so I don't need to make friends. Whereas she didn't have friends, and she couldn't relate with my friends really, because majority of my friends, none of them drink or do drugs or smoke weed or do DMT or nothing. Most of my friends don't. And so I got all this. I'm like, okay, whatever, you know, I mean, I don't know. But so when she found her friends, I was trying to be supportive, you know. I was like, well, I'm glad, you know. And I was trusting of her, because this is all part of a relationship. You got to be able to trust your partner and all this stuff. And I was open to meeting her friends, but that never happened, which I was okay with. I don't really necessarily want to meet her friends, you know. And I don't really know what the details with this stuff, but according to her, it's all just normal stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Good. I'm glad you have friends. It's important to have friends. So anyways, so I get back. People are talking there's a murderer. The first 24 hours I get back, I'm already hearing there's a murderer. They found a dead body, blah, blah, blah. And so that was on a Tuesday, I'm pretty sure. So then the next evening was Wednesday. And Wednesdays is when she meets her friends at the Burger King. And so they meet during the evening, you know, like, I don't know, like 7 or something. And then she's hanging out with them playing online Pokemon. And then she'll get back later, like at night. And I've always tried to discourage her from walking around alone at night by herself, but she would get bothered. She felt, I don't know why. I'm just trying to show that I care about her and that I can't be with her all the time, but I don't think it's a good idea for her to be walking around alone at night. And she would like get upset with me about that, you know. So then I was like, okay, I'm back. I just quit bringing it up. And so this Wednesday night, this is 48 hours after I get back from Houston. It's Wednesday night, so she's going to meet her friends, and she's getting ready to leave, and she's about ready out the door. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, babe, I'm like, dude, you're just gonna go there by yourself? Why not take Luna? That was her pit bull mastiff. And I'm like, dude, and she starts like getting all annoyed. And I'm like, I know that you don't like me bugging you, okay? But dude, yesterday, this person and this other person were both telling me that there's a fucking murderer running around here and they found a dead body. And so I don't want you walking around alone at night around here, man. I would just bring the fucking pit bull mastiff at least. Can't you just bring the dog so you're not walking around? Dude, they're saying there's a murderer in this town now and they found a dead body. When I bring this to her attention, she said, well, that's my friend. The person that got murdered is my friend. And I'm like, what? You know, like to me, like it's like you just decide to bring this up right now. You're like this, like you didn't think to tell me until right now that it was your fucking friend. Wait, so the body that they found out in the desert was your friend? Who the fuck who? She's like, yeah, you know Todd and Sheila? And I'm like, yeah, the people that you've been hanging out with for the last 8 months that live a block up the street, and their pit bull mastiff is the sister of Luna, your pit bull mastiff, and you've been hanging out over there. Yeah, what about them? She's like, well, yeah, and I never met them before. I never even met them. She's like, well, Todd and Sheila got in a big fight the other night, and Todd stormed out of the house with a bottle of booze and his gun, and walked out into the desert and guzzled a bunch of booze and shot himself in the head and killed himself. And I'm just like, okay, now look, this last video, I was telling you how we're having problems, right? And I'm trying to like reason and I'm trying to be reasonable and stuff. And then it's shit like this. Like, this is like, it's like, where it's like, what the fuck? So then I'm like tripping out. I'm like, and I'm like, who the fuck are these people you're hanging out with? And I'm like, dude, look at my friends. Do you see my friends doing this shit? I'm like, who in the fuck are these people? You've been hanging out with these people. I don't even know who the fuck, like, who are these? You know, you don't like any of my friends, you know, I guess. I don't know, but so what the fuck? I'm like, dude, because the last people that she was hanging out with, all this crazy type of stuff, and I had to save her from all that shit and save her from homelessness and save her. Like I said in the last video, like my role, a big part of my role in our relationship was like, I was going to kind of provide for her so that she would have time to recover from all the trauma, because she had all this traumatic shit going on with these other scum fucks. And that's why the guy was stalking me and her and all this stuff. And it's like, and so I'm upset when she's telling me this. I'm like, you know, when are you going to fucking learn? Like, dude, I spent all this time, like, you know, taking care of you while you recover from this trauma because of this people you were hanging out with, these people you got mixed in with before. And now you're just mixing in with these same kind of fucking people. Like, what? Who the fuck are these people? You know, I was tripping out. And that was June 24th was the night that where I was calling a spade right there. I'm not going to sit there and not say anything. I was like, what the fuck? What is going on with these people you're hanging out with? This sounds totally insane. And so she's sticking to this story. Whatever. I don't know. And I'm upset, dude, because I don't want people like that around me. I don't want people like that around her. I put all this effort into trying to, you know, help her, you know, and introduce her to healthy people that are mentally healthy, that aren't crazy and all this shit, and tried to, you know, bring her into an environment where she could be around healthy people, and so that she could, and then she just goes and chooses to be hanging out with it's like, because I'd already had my suspicions that these people she's hanging out with, I don't think that they're, but I don't know. I never, right? But so that was when it was like, okay, now I'm getting a clearer picture of who the fuck these kind of people might be that you're hanging out with, right? So I was, in the moment I was upset. I was like, what the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? You know? Do you want to go through all this again after all this shit we went through? You want to start getting mixed in with fucking weirdos? You know, so it's just so that was where it's like the relationship, it just became obvious, more and more obvious, that this is just ridiculous, dude. Me and her, like, I've had it, you know? Like, she's not gonna learn. Some people, they don't learn, man. And I don't have time for that in my life. I've already got enough of my own shit. I don't have time for it, right? So then, that was in June. So June, July, so 2 months after that, okay, I still don't know any of the detail. I'm just like, I talked to some people about it, and they were like, yeah, he did. It was, you know, this and that. Well, actually, what happened is the people that were telling me that they found a dead body and that there's a murderer, I went back and I told them, I said, dude, that dead body they found, that's Todd. That's Todd Minshaw. That's Christine. That's my girlfriend's friend, right? That's, you know, and my girlfriend told me the story that Todd and Sheila got in a fight, and Todd stormed out with the bottle of booze, and you know, guzzled a bunch of booze and shot himself. And then that's when they were like, no, bro, you don't understand. So then they started telling me more of the story. They're like, no, he was murdered, dude. He was murdered. And like there were like one or two people that were telling me this, and they were explaining how it was murder. And one of the things that they said is that there was no gun on the scene when they found him. There is no evidence of any suicide, and the only evidence that does exist suggests murder, not suicide. And so then I'm like, great, here we go. So then I went back and told her that. I'm like, dude, they're saying that no, blah, blah, blah. But then it just fizzled out because I got enough problems than to be babysitting my girlfriend all the time. Like, and it's just getting worse with her where it's like, I'm just like giving up. It's like she's gonna have to figure it out on her own. I tried to help her. She's just still doing who knows. I don't understand what the fuck she doesn't want to ever talk. She always wants to play the victim and all this. So it's like whatever, man. I got another show coming up, so I got work to do. I got shit to do. So 2 months later, I went to the show in Denver, and then the Denver show. So that's when it starts. Okay. But I needed to explain this Todd Minshaw mysterious death because the mysterious death of Todd Minshaw is what then it's like that's where okay. So I'm gonna post this video. Apparently it's gonna be 3 parts. So this is part 2 of 3. So that, and then I'll probably do part 3 tomorrow because just explaining this much is exhausting. It really is exhausting. And also that there's so much crucial detail I have to leave out to do this. Like so much crucial detail must be left out in order to consolidate this story to be able to do it in some kind of video format. So and the devil's in the fucking details, so I'm leaving the devil out, like so much of everything, which makes it more exhausting. So anyways, so that helps me get to the thing. So from here it'll be now the thing, and the thing, I'm just gonna call it the thing, like the John Carpenter movie The Thing. It's the thing. So the thing is coming. And we'll do the thing tomorrow.